There's this really cool concept I've been into lately, right? It actually has a really dumb name. It's called the context effect. I think you guys should probably brainstorm a cooler name in the comments because this is a really cool concept. It deserves a much cooler name than the context effect. But it goes something like this. If I said to any of you, guys, walk in a straight line, walk in a 50-foot straight line across, your sidewalk, your street, wherever you're near. You could do that like really easily. Like all you were like, yeah, duh, I got that, right? But if I took that same straight line and put it 100 feet up in the air between two skyscrapers, you would fall. I would too. Anyone would. We'd be like, oh my God. The fear of falling is what makes it hard, not the fact that you got to walk, right? Anybody could walk in a straight line, especially, if you're sober, you got that, right? So what is it? It's the context that makes the difficult action seem so difficult. It's not actually just the action itself. And obviously, cool as a story, but none of us are going to go tightroping anytime soon. Not to my knowledge, at least. If you are, let me know. That's pretty cool. But we could apply this to multiple other things in our daily lives, right? I'm going to do one right now that's really quick. I do these every day, right? When I tell most people, like, oh, I do a daily series on YouTube, their first reaction is, wow, that's a lot of uploads. Right? That must be really hard. Is it some days I don't want to record, of course, but this is no harder. Like, this is way easier than my job. You know what I mean? Like, recording and editing for a couple minutes out of the day is not at all the hardest part of my day. So, it's not that hard. But since people aren't used to seeing in their personal lives a friend who does something like that daily, they go, that must be hard. Now, I had that same thought when I was starting this series, because I didn't have many friends that did anything like this, right? So maybe if I did, I'd go, this is easier than I think. Of course, now I went and did it without the context, right? I kind of ignored it and did it anyways. But if I had a bunch of friends that were showing me that, no, you can very much upload daily, if the context around the decision was different, it would seem easier. And honestly, I think it'd be done a lot better. Now, I think this is an interesting idea because it's almost one that advocates for no balance, right? And that might seem weird to some of you to say because I'm always talking about we got to find the happy medium or whatever, right? But I actually think it's a really good strength of this because, listen, balance is great. And you need balance. You need balance in your life to make sure that you're doing the normal life things, right? But you also need to do some stuff that's not too balanced sometimes. You need to be a little crazy sometimes. You need to do things that make everybody go, that is not a good idea, or that's impossible, or that's really hard, or that doesn't make sense, I mean, I want you to think about your life, right? Once again, I don't know you, so I'm going to use my life as an example because I don't know what your life is like. I know for me, if I did everything that seemed normal and easy my entire life, probably be in an office somewhere really, really sad right now as I don't know, a junior marketer or something like that. And I'm not saying I'm some anti-corporate America soldier or whatever. It's not like I'm living a life that's the most interesting in the world right now, but I wouldn't be coming home to do this at the end of the day. I wouldn't be watching the movies and TV shows I like because my friends when I was younger said they were dumb or whatever. Think of you following the normal path your whole life. It doesn't work. It's stupid. Plain and simple, you would end up being a person who is not only living the life you like far less, but I would go as far as saying, you're kind of being dumb. You know what I mean? You gotta. And I'm not saying that in a sort of derogatory or mean way. I'm saying it just in terms of how dare you follow somebody else's rules your whole life? You know what I mean? And that's where I think it's great to have, not that this is a guiding philosophy that you should use in everything. You know what I mean? Of course, if you, if you're in the casinos, you should not be using the context principle. You should very much listen to the fact that the slots are not going, you're not going to hit the 1 in a million right now. Sometimes this is not a good idea, right? But when it comes to other things that might seem a little bit harder, that people around you go I don't know about that, or, seems a little crazy, or how could you have the confidence to do that? I think applying something like this could be great. You know, I think it could be really good. I think back to this one time as a kid. I was at this summer camp, and I said, I believe anything is possible, right? Probably just saw it somewhere, maybe heard it on TV. And one of my friends was like, that's stupid. Not everything is possible. And I said, no, I think anything is possible. They said, what about flying? And I said, yes, I believe flying is possible. Now, flying's not possible. I was 6, and I fully thought that you could fly. Like, I fully thought, like, I, in my head as a kid, was just like, no, of course, in the same way that, like, a pro athlete gets really good at, like, football, you can be a pro flyer. Like, you could get really good at flying. My logic behind this was actually pretty good. I want to share it with you guys. I was like, I was a chubby little 6-year-old, right? I couldn't throw a football. Like, I couldn't do any of the sports stuff. And I was like, okay, if I have to practice and train to do that, it only makes sense this other thing, flying, that I also can't do. I just need to practice and train to do that, right? Now, flying's not possible, right? And this is obviously an example in which believing that flying is possible will get me no closer to flying than not believing it. Because gravity is, of course, going to take precedence over my dreams as a kid, unfortunately. We've all had to encounter it once or twice. I think we all tried to fly, just as we all tried to go Super Saiyan, I think, right? And this is a different example, but I think if we take this same logic and apply that same childish framework to literally anything else, right? Let's say you're sitting watching this at 25 years old, right? And you're like, I wish I could be a pro baseball player, but I'm too old. Apply that kid mindset to it. You can't do it now. Maybe if you just keep going, you can do it within a couple of years. You know what I mean? Like, of course, this is once again an example in which biology and gravity will come get you eventually, but apply the mindset to it. See how, I guarantee you'd get farther if you applied that mindset and chased that crazy thing. And what's the worst part about it in the end, right? You don't become a pro football player. You're not one now. Same thing. Like, why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I genuinely believe that you can do anything you put your mind to, right? I am a huge believer in this. Is it wrong? Maybe. And I've been proven wrong in my life. I've thought of, like, I could totally do that, and I've tried to do it, and I lost. I didn't do it. But I'm the same as I was before I tried. So what did I lose? Nothing, really. Just got humbled a little bit, but that happens to all of us eventually, you know? This is why I say that it's so useful to believe this. And I think something that we all need to apply to our daily lives, whether it's small things, big things. Think, if I was a little kid, 6 years old, being an asshole to my friend at summer camp, could I believe I could do it then? The answer for a lot of us is probably going to be yes. And I think you should be that little 6-year-old asshole again and go and try and do it. Because that's awesome. That's actually what we need to be doing. Because, like, I don't think, you know what I think actually right now? I think the people that are thinking like this, like, we all know the type of guy that's on your Instagram feed going like, be the hustler, be the guy that the competition fears. They're selling courses and scamming people out of money. And a lot of people, because of that, have like this association, and this is a whole other thing I want to talk about in another page and talk about, like, we get these associations because of the internet now, of like, somebody saying you should work really hard and try and do something impossible must also be wearing suits that are too tight and selling the scammy course. And I think that's harmful because we need more people that are not wearing the tight suits and not selling scammy courses and genuinely want to do good, thinking with that mindset. Because while we don't have that, we're leaving the field wide open for all those guys in tight suits selling scammy courses to flood the market. And soon enough, the only people believing that they can do the impossible are people who follow them, right? Who get the same bad ideas, who are also wearing the pants that are too tight because they see those guys wearing the pants that are too tight, right? And then what's going to happen is 10 years from now, because the only guys that believe they could do anything good, anything crazy, were the guys in the tight pants, everybody's going to be wearing tight pants. And you're going to be treated like a loser for wearing your stylish pants. Of course, the pants are a metaphor here. I'm not actually talking about pants. But you're going to be treated like a loser for the type of pants you're wearing because you never believed that you could do the impossible cool thing. And now, everybody who did the impossible cool things are people with ideas that you don't like and that you think are harmful, just because you never believed. And all of that started because you attach this certain set of words that the impossible can be done with this idea of this archetype of person. Break out of that. Be like, I can do the impossible as the exact person I am right now. Think of people, I want you to think of throughout like history or whatever. Think of the haircut of the guys that did the impossible thing, right? Think of the color of shirt they most commonly wore. No, nothing should have come to mind there because all the types of people have done impossible things. The only common denominator in people that did impossible things were a little bit of luck, of course, being at the right time. You know, all these things play a role. They have to play a role. I'm not going to sit here and act like they don't play a role, right? The people that say all you need to do is be the hardest worker in the room, that's bullshit. That's not how that actually works, of course, right? We all know that. But the common denominator that you can find outside of that little bit of luck, outside of that hard work, is the belief. The belief they could do the impossible thing, right? So do it. I think that we all need to, right? Disattach the beliefs, disattach the stereotypes, and start believing that you, as somebody that maybe wouldn't be in that category to do that impossible thing. This is the painting. I like it. I actually really like this. I don't think the eyes have as much emotion as I'd want, but I think if I did this head in red and the eyes in black and then had this square be black, this could actually be really cool. I like the solid colored body with the deconstructed head though. That's something I want to continue. Maybe even a solid background next time too, so the whole painting is really finished except for the one element. I think that could be really cool. But that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts down below on this topic, and until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint Talk episode 165, and I'm here every morning painting and talking with you all.